Hey, g'day guys! Welcome to Justin Allen's YouTube channel. Here to give you good advice for a better future. Right, what I'm talking about today is if you're like a new Uber driver and you want to see what you're in for, like a lot of people will always say the ups and downs, but you never always know what you're getting into when you start driving for Uber until you've been doing it a while. I've been doing it for nearly 2 years now, and I've done nearly 9,000 rides for Uber and Taxify, and the sort of stuff you got to put up with it. Like any job out there, you've got to put up with the good side and the bad side. So I'm just like making you aware of, like, if you're new to Uber or thinking you're doing it, what sort of issues can be given to you from customers. Right, one common thing is, like, most people, they are waiting for the Uber and they're a smoker and they're going to smoke a cigarette, and then they're going to get in your car and they're going to reek a cigarette breath. It's a very common issue you have to put up with Uber. Another issue would be, like, you go to McDonald's all the time for the customers for drive-thrus, and you got the smell of the food in your car and it reeks. Sometimes you get some nice people and they offer you to buy you some food, but most of the time I don't worry about it. But if you're into McDonald's, you might get a free burger every now and then, so it's some good side to it. And another thing, like, I've picked up people before and that they just jump in your car and with food, and then they're starting to eat it, and then they drop them off and you look at the back seat and it's full of mess. I picked up a couple and it was a big trip, and they had a kebab each, and it was messed up over the whole back seat. That it was all over everywhere. That was like kids were in the back eating. It's another thing you got to put up with, and I'd recommend, like, before you rate the customer, to inspect your car. Like, it can be busy or it can be dark and you can not see the condition of your car, but you know, some people, you know, well, it's something you got to put up with. Another thing you got to put up with, like a common thing, would be a lot of customers leave their keys in the car. It's like a headache, you know. You got to contact them, or they contact you, and you got to give them the keys. What I do is I recommend them to just leave it in my letterbox, and then they come pick it up in their own time. Sometimes you get some nice customers that will pay you money to drop off their phone or whatever they've left in there, or keys that they've left in the car. So I have been paid before to do it for a customer, which was a nice customer. And I have had some good sides. I have been given some tips, which is good. One customer gave me a $50 tip. I was over the moon. I've had customers give me $10 tips, $20 tips. Recently I had a customer, he gave me a $10 tip, and he was an Uber driver, and I got along to him very well because we were on similar grounds. And yeah, he gave me $10. I was wrapped with that. I could have talked to that type of person all day long. He was very easy to talk to. And other issues you can get is, like, people bring alcohol into the car, and you know, you can either tell them not to drink it in, or not to wait till we get there. You know, most of the time I just let them drink in the car, but how many times do they leave bottles, or in the back door there's a place where you can hold your drink, you know, rattling around, and I've had drink bottles running on my seat. So it's up to you whether you want to let them drink in the car, but you know, you can lose your 5 stars straight away if you know, be a bit easy going with this job. And other things you got to put up with would be, like, sometimes you get drug addicts. I've picked up drug addicts before, and they just absolutely reek of marijuana or ice or whatever they've been doing, and then you're driving along and you start to feel a bit, not, you know, so it affects your driving a little bit. You feel a bit affected from it, and car, it has a strong odor that you recognize once you know what it is, what it smells like. So it's another downside to the job is you do pick up drug addicts. I've even done another downside is I've done jobs and picked up drugs for people, and then some of them openly say it, they don't care. People picking up ecstasy tablets before they go to nightclubs and picking up a gram of weed or whatever and then dropping them back home. And I've even had customers that you drive them one stop to the next stop, and it's like, gee, what are they doing? They must be dropping off deals. Some things that you have to put up with this job, you've got to be a little bit easygoing. And also, like, some customers, like one customer hit that they got offended because I had it on Light FM. I like to listen to the 9 o'clock news, so it's the only reason why I listen to that. But it's a religious station, if you're not aware. And one guy got offended because he doesn't like religious beliefs, but it's like, I bet you he believes in Christmas and celebrates Christmas. I'm not the most religious person, I don't go to church or anything, but I'm not against it. I don't hate religious people. You got to be a little bit easygoing. So it's another thing you can have to put up with this job. You've got to be careful what station the radio's on, and also another thing is not to have the music too loud. A lot of people they don't want they want it down low, but sometimes on a Saturday, of course, people have been drinking and they want to play it loud. And yeah, you got to be easy going. Some people want to use the Bluetooth or the auxiliary cord. I've got auxiliary cord, and they want to play it through their phone and just crank it to the speakers blow up. Some people, and there's a lot of things I've had to put up with this job that you're unaware of. I've had males and females request me to pull over on the side of the road, and females squat and pee, and even guys stop somewhere and pee. There's a lot of stuff that you have to put up with this job. Another thing, I've picked up people, say from IKEA, and they've had a massive item and they had to put it in the car. I've had people picked up from the shopping centre. I've had someone with over $200 worth of groceries, and it was just packed up all in the boot in the back. And I was a nice person, I even helped them unload it. There's a lot you got to put up with this job. Sometimes you get some people with a pram and you got to put the pram in, or you got the baby seat. I've even had animals in the car. Not everybody likes to have I think you do have the right to waive the job if you don't want to have an animal in your car, but I've had many cats and dogs in my car. I've even had one dog at the front passenger seat, and it was kicking around and going a bit nuts and causing the customer to get a bit stressed out. But it's not my fault, it's part of the job having pets in the car, just making you aware. Other issues, like there's you got to put up with like the weather as well. You can wash your car, and then also 2 hours later it can be raining, and then you've gone through all that trouble for nothing. So it does pay to check the forecast. Mainly keep the interior clean every day, and if it's going to rain, just give it a quick clean. You mainly need to have the windows clean. And other things you got to be aware of, like if you've got a small car, you might go to the airport and you might go, oh no, pick up these customers with that much luggage, you're like, geez, it's gonna fit. So be aware of that. If you've got a tiny car or not the best car, that you're gonna have that stress come to you one day. You'll be like, geez, I've had luggage put in my car, and I've even had really long stuff too. I had to fold down the front seat so it would fit down the bottom up the top, and you got to be aware of stuff like that. And sometimes you can be requested to do free stops with this job. There's also, you got to be aware of that. You might drop someone off from family or outing or something, and then you got to be dropping one friend off, then the next friend off, and then the next friend off. So a small trip can turn into a big trip, and you got to be aware that, you know, like, if you want to be going somewhere, that trip could turn into a big trip and make you late. And one other thing, like, Uber's got one good thing. If you do get a big trip that's over 40 minutes, it will come up before you select the job. So if you do have something on that, you'll be like, no, I can't really do it because it's going to be taking me 40 minutes. Most of the time the 40-minute trips is going to the airport or the city. Other things you got to put up with, like sometimes I do country jobs, and it's like, oh, you're driving along and then you've been taken to a dirt road and you just clean your car, and it's like beauty. So you've got to be aware that, you know, it's one of the downsides of the jobs, going down dirt roads. That happens to me all the time. And sometimes you can pick up very tired customers. Even last night I picked up a customer and he was so tired, it was only 15 minutes to get home, and I swear he was struggling. He was struggling to get, you know, stay awake for the trip. So you got to be aware of that too. And you can get a lot of intoxicated people as well. I've gotten people that are just stumbling, walking up to my car, and I'm like, geez. And I had one guy recently, I think it was last week, his friend was trying to pick him up from the ground and he could not stand. The guy was so drunk, you would not believe, I've never seen anybody that drunk. He could not stand. And then the guy, his friend, eventually, after a while of trying, he said, no, look, just cancel the trip, he's too, you know, drunk. And I said to him, look, yeah, I think he needs to sleep it off for a bit. It's another thing you got to put up with this job. And what else you got? You know, you gotta be a bit easygoing with this job too. Like, some people like to be bossy and direct you, like, turn left, turn right, go this way, or they think that their way is the best way in the world when it might be a good way, but how do they know unless they've tried other ways? And, you know, they haven't got a GPS that's got up to internet and it's got access to up-to-date traffic conditions. You know, you just got to be a bit easygoing. Yeah, you got to work out whether they're the type of person that are bossy and want to go their way or easygoing. And sometimes, like, if you go on the tollway, you got to work out, do they want to go the tollway, or is it better for me not to go the tollway because it's an extra expense? The tollway's sometimes not worth it. And are they easygoing? Do they care if they go the tollway or not? Sometimes it pays to ask them. And, you know, also you get a lot of, you know, you got to be asking the customer because they're paying for it. And also you can, when you pick up the customer, one thing that I find, like, you got to be careful. Like, the GPS doesn't always update which direction to go, so it might be like the GPS is thinking you're going this way and that way. You got to work that out, whether to go straight or back or which way. The GPS, sometimes you got to start driving, then it'll do a, you know, revolution, and then it'll update which way to go. So be careful of that too. And you do got to be a bit easygoing with the customers. You know, some people are pretty easy to talk to, and some people don't like to talk as well. So some people are tired and don't want to talk, or you're tired yourself and you don't feel like talking. And some people you get along with very well, and you can easily talk to them for the whole trip. And some people are just in a good mood and they're really talkative. You got to be careful what you say, because like some people can easily get offended. So you got to be careful of what you say. Keep that in mind, that you don't want to offend them. So you got to keep that in mind. And that's probably about it. As you've been doing Uber for a long period of time, you will gather, you know, what works for 5 stars and that. You got to keep your car clean, especially, and like even like you got to be careful. Like a lot of things that they can do, but you can't do. It's like if they can jump in their car and start eating food, but I can't just eat a kebab and then the car stinks of food and then they get in and they'll get offended. If they do it, it's okay, but if you do it, that they get offended and they give you a bad rating and whatever, you know. A lot of things, it's just part and parcel with customer service, that the system's in their favor and you got to be, you know, happy about that. And that's just the way it is. And that's probably about it. I'll wrap it up at that. Have a good day.